presentation where they do have a lot of confidence in themselves.
They absolutely do. And one more thing I want to touch on with Massu is something I always like is when a player is put in a different situation, something different can be asked of them. So, people I think were kind of somewhat critical of Masu's laning phase, but I never saw Massu as a bad laner. I saw him more of as a stable laner. And to me, that was more the role that he was asked to perform in the previous FlyQuest roster, right? Where you have Whippo on the top side, who's going to be doing some crazy
He's
stuff.
playing Yorick.
And not everyone on your team can be playing crazy. You need some form of stability. So I always kind of saw Massu as the insurance for FlyQuest in the old roster. In this new roster, there is more of an expectation on him to be a leader, to be taking over and creating individual advantages. While it's more Gakgos that is kind of taking that backseat, playing more stable role. So that's why it's always interesting to me to see a really good player change rosters and see, okay, were you carried by your old roster? Can you step into a new role? How dynamic of a player are you?
It's a new generation, especially for Massu kind of leading the charge there. As let's catch up on the pick and ban here for game number 1. Orianna, Karma, Seraphine.
No one with shields allowed.
Yeah, shields are not allowed on the Rift today. Pantheon, J4, and Varus on the other side. So it's going to be an Azir first pick for DSG. And Callme, I think, has also really impressed me. We talked about pretty much everybody on DSG except for Callme so far. I think that he's been stepping up. And, I mean, the Azir is not exactly what I was looking for. I was like, he's playing the Yone, he's playing the melee champions. I think it's cool because not every mid laner is doing that in the LCS right now. So more standard for game 1.
Azir.
I get Azir. But I'm planting the seed. It might come up later.
Yeah, it's good. I am also guessing Corki Nami as, there we go. Lock it in.
I just think it was the highest prio bot lane left, right? When you have Seraphine gone, when you have Karma gone, when you have Varus gone, it is the strongest bot lane available right now. Massu had an absolute banger game on Corki last week. They destroyed TL in that one. He had an individual advantage of something like 4K, maybe even higher than that. So was very, very far ahead. Of course, there's lots of other options. Yunara Lulu is kind of the obvious one if you want to scale alongside it. And I think that's probably what DSG will go for.
Absolutely.
But Yunara has not nearly been as successful, I think, this split in the LCS. People have been struggling to get through the laning phase. It has been getting destroyed in laning phases. I was looking at Yunara laning stats, and it is like averaging negative 2k gold at 15 or something absurd. Like almost every game, Yunara is getting blown out in the LCS. So when you pair a weaker laning phase duo with a weaker laning phase pair of champions, I am a little bit concerned how this 2v2 will go. But that being said, DSG has incredible scaling in their first 3. If they can stay stable in the early game and just farm even, they're in a great spot.
Yeah, just checked Yunara 0-5 right now.
Yeah.
And look at the gold difference stats. It is absurd.
She has not been having a good time. Yeah. Almost negative 1700.
That's not good.
Yeah.
So it's, it is only 5 games, but this champion is struggling. I mean, Lulu, Yunara, it's so much about the level 1, and teams are just getting way better about playing around it. I think as people were less used to Yunara, she would often get these lethal tempo, full Q stacks, and be able to just pop heal and just run at you and get this monster trade that really just kind of papered over all her early game weaknesses. The Corki Namis now are getting so much better at just avoiding that and not allowing you to get that extended trade. They're just taking quick, punchy trades instead. And when that is the kind of trading pattern, Yunara Lulu gets smoked. Like, you are not good in short trades. You need the extended fight. And so that's the question. Can you play around that? Because if you overextend yourself trying to get it and you're just getting poked down, you can lose the laning phase at level 1.
And we also could see this as DSG kind of acquiescing to, okay, you know what?
Good word.
2v2 bot, they are going to push us in. I used to write things back in another life. But like you already pointed out, the scaling from this composition can be massive, especially pairing the Azir in with that as well.
Yeah.
On the other side, we do have the Ambessa, which can go to Gakgos. I'm actually going to assume it's going to be going to Gryffin just because he does really like to put that in the jungle, but you can flex it either way. And they have banned out Renekton on their side as well.
Which makes me think it might go top. Of course it is a flex, but Renekton is the most common ban if you're trying to throw down a protection ban for it. They are going to ban out the LeBlanc, obviously trying to deal with any sort of answers to this Azir. Yone is still up and available though, and Quad is, willing to play it. Annie would be interesting. This does give you some explosive engage. Obviously, they are a bit light on engage, so that may be the option. And now they're just going to be looking for either, physical damage pairing in jungle, or they are still looking for that top laner, and we'll find out what Castle's going to play, and they can flex based off that.
Yeah, and I think that's what they're going to do. You can see that DSG was also kind of assuming that could go jungle as well by taking out the Mundo, which they did not want paired with the rest of that composition. It's definitely not going to be a Renata. I can see a Rumble
Yeah,
in
Rumble
the future. Yep.
locked in top lane, expecting that into the Ambessa. So let's see what the jungle is going to be now for DSG. KryRa's champ pool and Gryffin's champ pool, both very exciting. KryRa, I remember him in tier 2 for like Zach and Evelyn. It's going to be the Skarner, so
Skarner.
Kind of exciting.
Yeah, it is pretty exciting. I think Skarner is quite strong. I feel like they're going to go for a top lane pick here. I think this is a pretty tough matchup. So we'll see, you know, how flexible Gakgos is. If he just wants to play a tank into it, that's very common. Otherwise, you can go through things like Aurora, obviously, is a really common answer, or Galio. So those are all options, and I think Galio can be quite a strong pairing with the Ambessa. So we'll see what they want to go for. Nocturne being considered here, and this late, it's probably going to get locked in. So they are going to go Nocturne. So it will be Gakgos' job to try to withstand the storm in the top lane. We haven't talked much about him, but Castle was on one last week, completely smoked Impact in every single game in the laning phase, and is going to have an advantageous matchup up on that top side. But some pretty good dive now here drafted up for Fly.
And that's why I'm super curious. We set this up as like a big jungle matchup, right? I'm going to be, both of these junglers are kind of want to be a little bit stable early on, kind of farm up. But you do have potential for a really explosive top side, especially with the pushing lane of Rumble on the side of DSG. And then on the opposite side, this bot lane 2v2 that FlyQuest has been so strong with, and bringing out the Corki Nami into the Yunara Lulu.
Well, if you're Hambach, you invade with the Skarner.
Okay, you know what? You can do that.
You can do that.
Possible. Yes. And I mean, maybe KryRa will. Not expecting it. Whenever I try to set up like, yeah, this jungler's gonna go in, they're gonna do some like really cool like cheese level 30. No, they never. They always let me down, except for Contracts.
I've been hurt before.
Contracts never lets me down.
True.
With his early ganks.
I will say I'm pretty interested to see how these team fights are actually played out. You know, a lot of times I feel like people think of Skarner as you got to dive in there and get, you know, your impale on the carries. Against this comp, I feel like you can just peel. I feel like when Gakgos and Gryffin go in, you can just look to actually peel them off. Because when you're looking at Lulu and Skarner trying to get here onto the Yunara, if they are on even terms, Ambessa goes in, Ishtal's impact into the polymorph, that can be tough to deal with, and they're looking for this early move down for level 1.
Spotted out by the ward, so looks like DSG will not be caught unawares. They will notice the quads down there, and he'll head back mid.
I do like to see teams trying this a little bit more now frequently in the LCS, especially with bot lane being so high prio and being as explosive as it is. If you can get that kind of early level 1 off,
level 1
it can look really good,
Yeah, Griffin's actually going to go for the Raptors right now. KryRa will spot him, and that means that it's going to be a smite fight for the big Raptor. Quad's even walking up on Callme to make sure that the Azir can't immediately answer, so Griffin's just kind of asserting himself right now. KryRa getting lower in the health department, but again, it could come down to just who gets that smite off first. KryRa's getting real low right now, and Gryffin gets the smite regardless. Disaster for KryRa.
Yeah, I think Gryffin played that really intelligently. Instead of just full flipping it, I mean, it became a flip at the end. He's just hitting Skarner because he's going to win out in that 1v1 in that extended play. This is a lethal tempo champion against a champion with grasp. You just can't win with the amount of attack speed that they are getting. So utilizing the passive, just being in his face, KryRa tried to defend it, and as a result, gets pushed back, loses the smite, and now he's going to lose his whole top side, so it's going to be a tough spot.
And we talked about how not only Gryffin and KryRa the next gen jungle of the LCS, right? But also how Griffin's been going up against really, really strong opponents. You can kind of see that learning from Blabber, from Inspired.
That's what he was visualizing.
Right? He's like, no, I am the invader.
You called it. You said he's visualizing the Raptors.
Yeah, exactly.
Junglers care about 2 things. Raptors and scuttle crabs.
Well, he's able to take the entire top side of the Rift, and obviously the jungle matchup is going to be a big talking point for us in this game. But if you caught our pre-game interview, Gryffin had actually mentioned an in-house 2v2 pre-game during that interview. So we got footage of what went down there. Let's take a look.
I'm Nico, you're Caitlyn? Yeah.
Having fun.
Oh bro, Cheeto! Bro, Cheeto Championski. How you missing every cue, mama?
Mama. Mama.
Bro, can you guys let it queue for your life? Bro, I couldn't focus. This guy boarded all of 3 bushes, bro. I couldn't focus. Bro. Stop trolling, bro. Stop trolling.
All right, well, we got at least a little peek at what was happening on there. I can tell you, behind them, watching that live, Gryffin immediately blamed Gakgos. So as KryRa actually is able to smite away that Scuttle Crab, nice secure there. Just to give you an idea.
50-50 against the Nami bubble.
Yep, total 50-50. Hey, he earned that.
You never know.
He did.
But yeah, that 2v2, it's funny to see how teams warm up for games. Happy that we get some insight into that. But what was happening outside of that during that moment was just KryRa trying to get as much as he can in the jungle, but Griffin's right back on these Raptors the next spawn.
Yep, and he's already here to try to contest KryRa a level up, and with the push from Annie.
Yeah, Quad's walking up, and Callme just TP'd back into the mid lane. So again, it's going to come down to who gets the smite, and again, it's Gryffin.
Damn.
The battle of the next generation of junglers, and so far, Gryffin winning out.
I mean, that is tough. You lose out on that smite twice in a row, so now he's taking away that camp twice. Gryffin is power farming. Look at the CS differential. He has a lot of camps up already, and that graphic on the side. You know, this is the future of NA junglers. These are two really promising young rookies. Obviously, Yukino over in Europe doing well also. But NA, I will say, you know, we have struggled more to find good solo laners and stuff than we have junglers. I think there has been a lot of strong NA junglers over the years. And these guys are here and are performing well early on in their careers. And they've got a lot to learn, and they have a really bright future. So it's exciting to see these two players coming up and battling against each other this early on.
Yeah, and I also really like that you can already tell that because he had to face, like we talked about FlyQuest's recent strength of schedule, right? Because he had to face Blabber, because he had to face Inspired, and then Jose Deodo last week. You can see that kind of knowledge being put into practice in this game, and he is now in a really good spot compared to KryRa.
I will say, counterpoint, is that we also saw him try and do a lot of the stuff against Inspired, but he was getting punished for more of those attempts.
Counterpoint.
Okay.
Inspired said he thought he was actually going for the right plays. It was just down to execution. Right?
Okay.
So while the plays did not work, this is one of the tough things about League, right? Because there's so many different things that can change within a game, right? Is you can go for a play, it can be totally the right play, and it doesn't work, and it fails horribly, and it loses you the game.
Sure.
You can also go for a play, it works, you win the game, and it was a horrible play to go for. It was really high variance. It was
That's how most of my games go. Yeah.
But it worked, but it just happened to work, right? So it's understanding, you know, when it is execution a failure in execution versus a failure in planning. And I think that's one of the things that can be really, really difficult. Sometimes you play a game, everything you do works, and you lose the game, and you're kind of like, well, what went wrong? Like, you know, because, and especially as a jungler, there's so many different options because you can go anywhere. That is a very difficult thing for a rookie to do.
We are again.
You can go anywhere,
level
but
6
Gryffin
versus level 4
just wants to go for these Raptors.
This is not going to go well.
I mean, Callme's still here, and Annie does not have the
Gryffin
tippers, but yet again, Gryffin just smites, and KryRa cries. That is a 26 CS differential in the jungle.
That is crazy. 3 times in a row he wins the smite fight, and he is now up 2 levels. I mean, yes, KryRa is going to hit 5, but it is still going to be like a full level and a half. He could even do Dragon off of this if he wants because he has that winning bot lane.
KryRa's last. He's behind Lyonz and Cryogen in XP right now.
Support's OP. What can I say? Time to start building a Locket, you know? You're a support now too, buddy.
Get the Vandal pipes, baby.
Yeah, we're going to see Gryffin on that ward. He is basing. He's not going to go for the Dragon here early on. Sajed and Lyonz have given up some CS, but there is a wave at their tower, so they'll even that up a little bit. But their answer has basically been, you know what, we're not even going to try to win the level 1. We haven't talked about it much, but I was watching it a little bit off screen. And they were basically just saying, we're going to let you have push. We're not going to take a lot of trades here, and just trying to kind of lose gracefully, which I think they've done well so far in that 2v2.
We see Gryffin going for a potential invade. He pinged this out a while ago and is heading up to potentially chase KryRa off this red.
Oh, that's just filthy. Another smite. So that is now 4 camps that Gryffin has smite
This
stolen.
one he had the upgraded smite, so this one was not a fair fight because he is that far ahead. KryRa doesn't have the upgraded smite yet.
And I just love how far he's pushing this, right? Like, that was pinged out pretty much as he was even heading up that side of the map. He knew exactly where he wanted to go. Really, really trying to punish KryRa as much as possible with these repeat invades.
Yeah, just a brutal start here for the Skarner player. But, I mean, at least you can say you're kind of the tank. Like, you can maybe just build tanky and come back in the late game anyway. You know, I'm trying to cope. It's the 2v2 in the bot lane right now. Cryogen uses heal. Massu uses the barrier. Heal traded on DSG's side to look for that Yunara power spike you're talking about, Azael. They found the angle and are at least able to trade up and summon their spells.
Yep, they are up, but they are down experience. This is level 6 Nami now, and they have to be careful.
Yeah.
Because sajed, you know, yes, he did win out in that trade, but Nami heals you back to full. Lulu does not. KryRa's in the area, though, and has gotten 6. So if he can make a gank happen, this will do a lot to alleviate all of the early game troubles.
He's not even going to Ixtal's impact. Now he will go for it as Cryogen throws out the tidal wave, plus the Aqua Prison. Double stun onto KryRa, but now Polymorph onto Cryogen. The Impale will go wide. Flash over the Arc of Ruin, and FlyQuest outplayed DSG in the 2v3.
Cryogen just smurfed that. The sidestep on the Impale, the flash there on the W from sajed, you know, the bubble on Skarner as he's coming in. Everything was done perfectly. I thought Massu would get away for sure, but I thought Cryogen was probably dead to rights. And he just plays that beautifully. And now you're going to get even further behind. That was the opportunity for KryRa to get back into the game here. And instead, he gets nothing, uses the ult, it whiffs, and on the top side, Gryffin gets all 3 grubs, another scuttle, and is going to be continuing to build this advantage.
Yeah, and you'd have to imagine that they can probably rotate down to Drake whenever they want to. There's a world where if that gank potentially goes off, they then are able to rotate down and take this first dragon of the game. But yeah.
Now, I think that this is mostly a cover because Quad has Tibbers, and we have not seen Gryffin use the Paranoia yet. So I imagine that KryRa is just saying in case, but we also see on our vision, Griffin's just farming the top camps right now. As Callme actually will go for the play, shuffle onto Quad, flash out, dodging the Ixtal's impact. And KryRa will just throw the rock at him. Quad will trade some damage back, but he gets out of there using the summoner spell.
Yeah, and they do get flash, so now it's up to whether they'll be able to punish that going forward, right? Especially with Callme still having his.
Yeah, and that's the play they were looking for. I mean, you're basically trying to mimic what we see with Poppy Anivia or Poppy Azir, because you can Ishtal's impact into the Emperor's Divide. You can stun into that wall, so that's why he's just kind of trailing him there. Of course, you know, if the Nocturne comes, then you are providing coverage, but KryRa is basically in this spot where he is way behind, he farms more slowly, and all you can do to get back into this game is to have some successful ganks. So you try to keep as many camps up as you can, but he needs to focus on, you know, making some of these ganks happen, performing in the team fights, because he is going to be very far behind. You know, Gryffin is going to be quite powerful for these coming dragons, but thankfully for KryRa, FlyQuest has not taken any early dragons whatsoever. So, you know, he's just been focused on keeping up the farm, so it's not like they have to worry about a fast soul. And I do think that's a mistake from FlyQuest when you're looking over at the other side and you're seeing Skarner, you're seeing Azir, Yunara, Lulu, a lot of powerful scaling on that side.
Yeah, they are going to go for it now off of that last bot lane push, but there were a few other windows for them to be able to get in and grab that, especially with the bot lane trading that's been going on in this 2v2. So yeah, this is a pretty late Drake take for FlyQuest, although they still do have all of the objectives with the 3 grubs taken earlier, and now that Drake.
I kind of imagined Gryffin was going to go for the experimental Hexplate first before Dragon, but he still picks up the Dragon backs, now picks up the completed item, so he is just so far ahead. 994 individual gold leads.
Still haven't seen him use a single ult though, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like he's been super active with it. Something I really wanted to track throughout this series, though it hasn't been super action-packed in the bot lane in this one, is the bot lane 2v2 kills. That is bot lane 2v2 kills this year. FlyQuest is now up to 10 after getting a bunch last week. They really have been so dominant in the 2v2. I think there's arguments for, you know, which is the best 2v2 lane overall, because you can count about team fighting and how you're playing the rest of the game. But I think in the isolated laning phase, they have been the best of anyone in the league. And sajed and Lyonz have managed to withstand that. Nice.
Ooh, another attempt right there, but Quad's able to sidestep the Emperor's Divide, and in comes the Paranoia, the first use of the ultimate. But Lyonz backing up Callme, Cryogen roams as well. First blood to Gryffin.
Yep, first ult we see used, first blood, really late first blood, especially considering what we were expecting out of these two teams, even with the jungle picks, which we knew they'd probably end up farming. Cryogen is also just having a really, really strong Nami game thus far. I liked his matching roam, and that ended up being a difference maker.
It really did, and the flash from Gryffin, he was able to keep the Fear Tether in. Obviously, this all starts because Callme is looking to kill Quad with that missing flash, but Gryffin is around. Cryogen knows that Lyonz has a roam timer, so he's moving over as well. And for a moment there, it did look like Callme might get away, that he might have been able to, break that tether with the fear, with the wild growth coming out from Lyonz, but with Cryogen on that roam that Emily called out, it just did not work out at the end of the day, and now Massu getting very close to that first item. We'll have the Triforce completed on the next base, very likely, and that is going to be a really big spike here, as everyone has the role quest complete now except for KryRa.
And I gotta say, again, it's not just now the efficient jungle pathing from Gryffin, all these invades taking away camps. He also gets first blood. So this has just ballooned his gold lead even further than what it was originally. We were looking for that first ult as the Aqua Prison will land on Sajed. He's fine. But that was a pretty impactful first ultimate, all things considered. It
really was. It was the missing flash from Quad. He had a great sidestep on that Emperor's Divide. And then having the backup there to turn it around. Every time you look for a play as DSG when you are behind and it does not work out, Gryffin is not doing anything but just the most efficient clears possible. And you can see that Quad right now is roaming up to top side. They want to look for a play potentially on Gakgos, trying to duo up with him to take out Castle. So we'll see if Castle does show himself, because Annie is just out of fog, but there's question mark pings in mid. They know Annie should be back by now. This is a little bit weird, but now they showed Corki going towards mid, so maybe he's not going to expect this.
Yeah, and their Quad roaming all the way from the top brush. Castle caught unawares. Will get the wave with the equalizer, but Quad with the kill.
Yeah, and that was really nice and sneaky from Quad. Even when they were pinging it out, he went all the way around the kind of brush sticking out, right? So in the little alcove there to stay out of vision. Really nice setup and execution from Fly.
And this is a little thing, but I really think that Castle would have backed off more had they not seen Massu going mid, because they're saying someone should be answering this mid lane. This is actually really weird. But then you see Corki moving through the jungle towards mid, and you're like, oh, Annie's going bot.
Sure.
Because Massu's coming here. That's why someone isn't here yet in mid lane. So Castle then doesn't really suspect that someone's missing. Now it seems normal. It just seems like Annie's going bot. So that little thing, that ward, I think kind of worked against DSG in that instance, where had they not seen Massu going mid, they'd be like, okay, Annie's missing, we got to be careful.
And I love moments like that because it gives us an insight into the player's potential mindset. And it also equals out FlyQuest a little bit in the top lane, because Castle was the one that had a small lead for DSG.
Yeah, I was going to say, Castle is back to having a small lead, but that was the one kind of lane of pressure that we were talking about from Disguise that they would have. So really good recognition of Quad to be able to go up there and make that play, but then also Gakgos being able to come back down to the bot lane and get a bunch of gold onto himself without getting pushed in initially. That's really, really important, and he should be stronger for it in the next fight.
Quad was the one that got the kill, and now he's grouped up again. Flash Tibbers with the paranoia. KryRa melts in the river as the TP completes from Castle. In comes the Rumble, drops Equalizer again, but just doesn't have enough damage. Gakgos buys space for the rest of FlyQuest, pushes away Sajed, who flashes over the public execution. Flash follow from Massu. Callme with the Emperor's Divide to try and give Sajed the space, but he will go down, and that is 4 kills to FlyQuest.
Yeah, FlyQuest are just now absolutely running over this game. Really, really nice CC chains coming in. That poor Rumble teleporting into all of FlyQuest just a little too late as we take a look at the fight.
I actually like the target selection here. They don't need to try to overextend themselves. If you dive too far in onto this Azir, he has the Emperor's Divide. They realize Skarner is so far behind, just one-shot the Skarner at the start of the fight. That's completely fine. And then you have Gakgos on the side, who's kind of just zoning out Sajed, pushing him back while they kill off those frontliners. Skarner dies instantly. Castle arrives, can't really do anything. He's sectioned out. And then eventually Massu gets in. They're even able to donate him that kill.
Great flash from Gakgos there as well, getting over the Emperor's Divide. And that TP seemed like nice at the very beginning. Actually, we'll get back to that as Massu big damage onto Sajed right there. He channeled the TP right as the paranoia happened. So that's one of those ones where it's like, if you wait till too late, you can't TP anymore. Yeah. So he's probably thinking, oh, the Skarner's going to live long enough. That was not the case.
Yeah, no, I mean, the other thing there is, right, like, the Skarner is behind. KryRa dies so quickly. It is really good team fight targeting, as Isaac already pointed out. And FlyQuest are taking a lot off of the map here. They're going to be able to get that Drake. They're going to be able to put pressure potentially on this mid lane turret.
Nice from Callme to actually just barely get out of range of Quad's Tibbers right there. So Tipper's not going to find the stun. KryRa's now hanging out. Quad's going to spot him as Cryogen actually walks up. They have TP on Gakgos if they want to go for something crazy right now, but KryRa will just Ixil's Impact over the wall, gets hit by the Aqua Prison, and is just getting harassed by the Nami, and is fine.
Yeah, he's going to be fine. If he overstayed, though, Massu was moving, so if they try to force a fight, Massu was going to be there and be ready. And, of course, Gakgos is down on that bot side. Neither of them have a TP, so it's not like you can get outnumbered.
Oh, Massu just Valkyrie over the wall. Big chunk onto Lyonz.
Yeah.
You use the wild growth. If that last rocket hits, you probably go down. So, things not looking great for Disguise, but things looking fantastic for FlyQuest. They have played immaculately in this early game.
I mean, Gryffin is looking inspired-esque with the farm. He is power farming. He's up at 10 CS per minute as a jungler. He's got more than his top laner. He's got almost the same as the AD carry. It's kind of ridiculous how much farm he has picked up. And with those kills he's gotten, he's in a great spot.
Another play now comes in. Flash from Callme to look for the Emperor's Divide. The Impale's there, but Gryffin was in the neighborhood already, and FlyQuest able to read the play, turn it back around. It's a kill to them. DSG, they keep looking for these little skirmishes, these little engages, and FlyQuest are always ready to answer.
I mean, Gryffin is just so strong. He's level 13. He's the same level as the soul laners on the other side, and he's got 2 completed items. It is hard to deal with this guy.
Yeah, and I mean, again, as DSG, what are you gonna do, right?
Go
like
next.
you are gonna try, you are gonna try to make something happen, hopefully. But I mean, FlyQuest, you pointed out like Griffin's power farming. They've also just wiped off every single objective off the map, right?
Yeah.
Like DSG have yet
This is
to
a perfect
get
game.
any sort of objective thus far. I wasn't gonna say it. Because as soon as you say that, then it gets ruined. It's
I'm not
so hard to get.
superstitious. I'm just going to say
I am
it.
incredibly superstitious.
I'm on Emily's side
It is
here, for the
currently a
record.
perfect game. I can say it. That is true.
I mean, we're not...
Doesn't mean they're going to finish
We're
it.
not contesting
I
that you
have
can
exact
say it.
some sort of control that I know I don't have, but I need to pretend that I have.
I mean, a perfect game is so hard to get these days because
is.
usually you get a grub or something.
Yeah.
Or just a kill as
Yeah.
like they're sieging
I
the
mean, they're looking
Nexus,
for
right?
another one right now, but yet again, public execution paranoia is just too much. FlyQuest were able to kite back, and DSG just cannot find that angle in. I think DSG are on Emily's side here. They're hoping that Azael just cursed FlyQuest because they need to find
I don't
some
think I
magic.
cursed them for a loss. At best, on the DSG side, I cursed them for a death, you know?
Okay,
Yeah.
true.
You definitely don't want the perfect
Massu
game.
going forward, and there it is! Shut down over to Castle. You need it? Solo laner stepping up. That's flash out of Cryogen as Callme looked for the shuffle. Quad will land the stun onto Callme, and DSG, they'll at least get one.
Yeah, it's almost impossible to
It
get a
is,
perfect game.
yeah.
If you really want to get a kill, you can full send it on a Nami or just get some sort of garbage kill. In this case, it was on Massu, who didn't have his flash, so getting a little bit too aggressive, they are able to punish that, and that is going to stop FlyQuest from doing Baron in that moment. But FlyQuest in full control here. It's Hextech Soul to make things worse. That is going to be on the table. Of course, not the fastest Soul by any means because they took that first dragon quite late. It was a slow game. But they are 7K up, 2 dragons they're named, all 3 grubs. They are running things, and they still have the Herald in pocket for Gryffin.
Yeah, I mean, the most important thing of that kill actually was not breaking the perfect game, but like you said, stopping the Baron from being taken, right? Because if this team gets a Baron that early, their siege potential is still really, really good with the Corki in such a strong position as it is right now. As you can see, they are kind of trying to move up onto that side, keep their vision line up there, push out that top side wave. But they also have great control over the bot side of the map too, and are going to be ramming this Herald into mid-tier 2 if
It actually got stopped by the wave. So
That was a
there
horrible
we
Herald.
go.
Yeah.
That was not.
The Herald's, every Herald dropped in base is a crime.
Yeah.
Every
It's
time
tough
you drop
to
a
see.
Herald in base, an angel loses
KryRa's
wings.
looking for a potential engage here, but in comes the Paranoia again, and he just wasn't in range for the Impale. It's spell shielded by Gryffin. Quad on a killing spree. Finds the engage on the sajed as well. And even topside's falling apart. FlyQuest just getting kills everywhere.
Yeah, I didn't even see what was happening on the top side because I was too distracted by that really nice flash follow-up from Quad's Annie, right? To get that little slam dunk kill on the top of that. FlyQuest now immediately on the Baron. But yeah, Gakgos just getting a slick 1v1 kill up on the top side of the map. I'm actually going to go into game and see What happened there?
It also gets them the Baron, and I'm going to remind you that that was Castle that was the one kind of holding the line. Castle, the one that got the shutdown on a Massu, the one kill to disguise name, and he's still dying solo to Gakgos under turret. But we haven't seen exactly how it started, so maybe there was something funky. If we get a replay, we can review it. But here's the replay of the mid lane. Again, tough for DSG, but FlyQuest, they are just playing this so well.
Yeah, I really liked that flash follow-up from Quad. I also think, here we see that top side kill. Looks pretty standard. Castle doesn't drop the equalizer.
Oh,
yeah, public
beautiful.
execution, and then is able to drop the equalizer on the back half of it, but it doesn't do anything at that point.
I really like how Gakgos played that. He actually kited back into the brush and uses the ult from brush there. You just caught Castle on that angle and is able to finish him off. So really well played.
You don't get to see the animation. Oh my goodness.
There goes half of Sajed's
I think
health.
he's gonna regret that decision. As this is not Dragon's Soul, it is Soul Point. But it might as well be Soul with the current lead that we see in the game. It's rare that you see the 9K hit at the 23.5-minute mark. DSG, I think, wisely are going to decide this is not our time to go for the fight. In fact, I think this is the time that we start having a conversation about what went wrong and how do we fix it for game 2, because DSG, that's, I think, where their eyes need to be set.
I will say, I mean, a lot of this felt like it was based around jungle and what happened to KryRa. You know, you're going for a jungler that is going to lose the early 1v1 matchup, and you have an Azir mid lane that can't really help you with the invade. I mean, Azir can walk over and start auto-attacking him, but like, you're level 1, all you can do is place your soldiers. You can't even reposition them. So it is very, very difficult. You know, once that went so bad, they were very far on the back foot. And beyond that, it's like you picked a full scaling comp and you got behind early. It's just tough.
And now we might have another engage. That was more of a defensive paranoia from Gryffin as the TP again comes in from Castle. He's so fast on these. It's really impressive when you're able to get 2 in a row now before these paranoias. But unfortunately, FlyQuest did not actually pull the trigger on it, so basically a wasted TP. Even Gakgos is going to TP bot side now.
I was going to say, what that does is it doesn't allow him to kind of respond to this growing push in the bot lane where Gakgos is able to TP in, but they're going for a mid lane fight.
Tidal wave for the engage, sidestep by everybody. KryRa actually flashes back into it just to get away from the tether of Gryffin. Massu slowed down, slightly chunked as Callme will look for the flash engage. Massu with the flash answer, and now FlyQuest unleashed. Gakgos with a public execution. Callme's down. Sajed trying to kite back, but as Lulu went right, he went left. Gryffin with that kill, but Sajed almost turns it. Quad also on a rampage, and this looks like the victory march for FlyQuest. They played a clean game so far, and now they can start breaking the base.
Beautifully played there by Massu, flashing the flash ult from Callme. It's the exact same thing he did last week against Squid when they were playing against TL on that Corki. So really well team fought. This is a dominant game 1.
It's KryRa and Lyonz trying to defend here for the final push. The Baron did expire, so actually, let's see if FlyQuest want to go for the game end. Just under 26 minutes. They actually back off. Yeah, I mean, they don't have the Baron, so I guess they're a little worried about the 1 second for Callme to come up. Gakgos actually gets stopped on the retreat. Impale comes in. Now paranoia from Gryffin, but he's too low to fully send it. Polymorph onto Gakgos. Sped up by the Nami, and now Callme comes in with the slows. Another tidal wave, and FlyQuest, they get their top laner out of there. Operation Save Gakgos complete.
They're going to keep chasing, though. They have no recourse. They want to try to stop them from basing. They're hoping they can get something, but doesn't look like they will be able to get in. DSG just has no damage at all at this point. They're so far behind in every single roll. And even this Azir, you know, you're going for the rocket belt.
Oh, Massu's getting in there. Quad used his own rocket belt to get the stun onto Sajed. And Massu just does so much damage right now. A double kill to the Corki. As FlyQuest, it just feels like they can do no wrong. Like, this is just a mountain of a gold lead.
Yeah, they're going mid, so now they are going to try to end the game here, very likely. They're pushing through bot a little, but I mean, you're walking down mid with the inhib already down, so the only reason to do that is if you are trying to end the game, and they do have that 2-man advantage right now.
And DSG with only 3 to defend are going to buy time for Sajed to respawn. 10 seconds. The squad looks for another one. Public execution goes wide. Paranoia under the turret, but they already got 1. They're going to get 2. FlyQuest execute the dive. It is traded back as Castle actually finds 2 for himself. And FlyQuest, it looks like they're going to have to wait for another wave. Sajed has respawned. He's just going to run straight at Gakgos and Massu. And the game will continue.
Yeah, it was a little bit of an overextension there, to say the least. I mean, they're just trying to barrel it down mid lane instead of actually sealing the deal by taking additional hits.
I mean, he's still just not that tanky. He's trying to buy space for the team. Does land the Impale, but it's only onto Gakgos. The Ambessa pretty strong. She's looking to trade one, but does not get it. Another shutdown to Castle. Make it two. Castle with a massive injection of gold in the last 30 seconds.
Yeah, now he is 1.3K up over Gakgos.
So you're saying there's a chance?
We're seeing a little bit of messiness. Yeah, closing this out.
Let's refocus. Next play. They can pull Baron or top in 8.
Yeah, they need to log back in. I mean, they realize it. They're super trolling trying to end through mid like that. There's just not really any reason to go for it when you could just guarantee take the inhibitors and then play for soul.
But the sick combo, they landed the double bubble
they did.
off of turning off the lights.
They're having a little
so
too much
good
fun.
initially.
This went from almost perfect game to we're getting a little fast and loose. We're giving over some kills.
I was gonna poke at Massu saying the only one with a death on FlyQuest, but no, a couple others joined it now.
And whoever has Castle on their fantasy is saying thank you, FlyQuest, for not just ending this cleanly, because Castle's giving you some fantasy points. I personally have sajed on my fantasy team, so I would like FlyQuest to continue trolling.
That's minus 4 points right there.
Get some kills on this Yunara, please.
I got Gryffin. I'm happy with the current
I have Gryffin as well.
I don't have any fantasy rooting interests.
FlyQuest don't have control over the approach of the dragon right now, and this time around, Griffin's the one that's chunked at the start. He has the GA, so FlyQuest can still look to re-engage as Callme actually gets chunked out. Massu just does so much damage right now. The Corki almost just solo winning that fight. Now the Excellence Impact back in onto Gryffin, but the flank from Gakgos gets onto the carries. It's all down to sajed to try his best. But Massu with a triple kill will end the chances. A quadra kill. FlyQuest gave him the penta kill to Massu. FlyQuest with the ace.
As soon as I saw the triple coming in, I was like, you guys got to give it to him, right? Like he's been having a sick game.
Penta. Ole!
I guess it was Cryogen alone. Cryogen the homie.
Where's the Massu pop
Massu the carry. GG, FlyQuest take game 1.
Outside of some late game shenanigans, but hey, they gave Massu a pentakill off of that, right?
Yeah.
At the end. Really, really nice start from FlyQuest. You can kind of see how much they were able to learn